Hello everyone, Daniel Master 87 here, and right now I'm just gonna do a quick update review of the July 2022 dev update, I guess you could call it, which is basically just an update that the devs put out finalizing the changes that they're making to the perks that they're changing around, the base game changes that they're changing around, which is attached to the June update they were doing. You know, the 40 perk changes, killer recovery on attack, and pallet breaking speed, yada yada. Now, some of these changes I do like, but some of them stick out like a sore thumb, and I'm going to call them out. First, let's talk about BP. So, under the new system, for some reason, whenever you prestige, which is not an option anymore, you have to do it to continue to level up, there's going to be a single prestige node that you have to buy in the Blood Web. And it was going to cost 50k blood points. Why would the devs think that that was okay to put in the game when the whole first part of their update was about reducing grind through the new prestige system and Shrine of Secrets BP gains and all of that? Why would you do such a thing? It's stupid. I don't know what other words to use to describe that. And the worst part about it is they're not even let's look at this, they're not even walking it back. They're just saying, oh, instead of 50k BP you're only gonna have to pay 20k BP for that stupid node. It should have been free, because now you're making it mandatory for people to get to freaking level up. But besides that, BP cap raised finally to 2 million. It should have been raised to something higher. I've said 999, 999, 999. That's 9 digits right there. And people say, oh, well, you're going too crazy with the economy with that or whatever. And it's like, what do you mean? It's not like they're going to raise the BP cap to that number and then all of a sudden every player's gonna get it and then they can just unlock everything in the game. No, that is your max amount of BP that you can get. It doesn't mean that you will get it. I don't know how long it would take to get that amount of BP, probably months of playtime. I almost want to say a year or more, but people still just can't stop defending the devs on why the BP cap should remain so low, especially when they're giving us rank reset rewards which go over that limit at the end of every rank reset. Doesn't make sense to me. We are getting more BP in general because now in the matches at the results screen the emblem system has been changed to where before, if you got a perfect game with the max amount of BP, it would have been a 32k game. Now it can be a 40k game because they're changing each emblem's category point max from 8k to 10k. So 10k times 4, that's 40k instead of 32k. I doubt I'm going to be making 40k matches all the time, but it's just going to be fun to look back on the days of 32k perfect games, and now the amount has changed. So after prestiging, the chance of finding higher rarity things in, I put in blood here on my notes, chance of finding higher rarity things in the Blood Web will be increased, and I don't think it's here for this update because the update I'm talking about is now live. I just wanted to go over the changes because I meant to do this video earlier, but I didn't because things. But they're gonna do an update later on, they said, where they're gonna make commons and stuff spawning in your blood web like crazy after every time you prestige because it resets. They're going to make sure it doesn't happen like that all the time. Endurance basically cannot stack. They listen to the community's worries, although some of it was unfounded, I'll say, because sometimes you'd have to put whole builds together in order to get that desired result of taking like 4 hits of endurance or whatever. Endurance basically can no longer trigger again while you're deep wounded. If you what's a good example of where you'd be able to it's hard to think of a situation where you would be able to apply another endurance effect while you're deep wounded. You get what I'm saying. But basically you'll have to heal your deep wound before it allows you to put another endurance effect on. So you can't get borrowed time for free, take that hit from the killer, then dead hard, take that endurance hit from the killer. There's not going to be any of that. The exception is with Metal of Man, because it's not an endurance effect per se, it's like its own thing, which I think is fine. Although it's way too easy to get at high level sometimes because people just take a protection hit and it doesn't even matter because you can't insta-down them or whatever. Dead hard, speaking of endurance, is going from 1 second of endurance to 0.5 seconds, so that's back in line with the old duration of Dead Hard where it only lasted 0.5 of a seconds. But now you're talking about the new effect, so hopefully these changes make Dead Hard too weak to where not everyone will run them like they've been doing for the past 5 years or something. Spine Chill, the devs are worried that their nerf that they're doing to it is going to affect accessibility for hard of hearing and deaf people. How about they just don't get to... Because I'm trying not to sound non-compassionate and cruel and whatever, but you're hard of hearing, you're deaf, things like that. You probably should not be playing games and absorbing other types of entertainment which are not suited specifically towards your crowd. I mean, it's not a super unreasonable thing that I'm saying, I hope not anyway. It's like expecting the movie theater that you go to or whatever to provide the script to the movie you're going to watch in Braille or something like that. Assuming you know how to read that. But anyway, Spine Chill, they were worried about accessibility. Spine Chill's icon will now indicate the closeness of the terror radius, so I guess it will get brighter or something like that as the killer is coming closer. I mean, that's my best guess at least. I'm not sure. Isn't that defeating the purpose a bit? I mean, now Spine Chill is arguably giving even more information than before, assuming the killer has line of sight, because not only do you know the killer is staring at you, you know that they are increasingly getting close to you, and it's not just that, oh, they're chasing a survivor in the background and they happen to look at you, so Spine Chill lights up. Now you're actually seeing that they're coming close to you. They should have just left Spine Chill alone. That's my unchanging opinion. Off the record now deactivates after 5 gens. Kind of like the new DS. So you can't, in the in-game, get off hook and then 80 seconds later take a freaking protection hit and an endurance hit for free because you had that dumb perk equipped. But before 5 gens, it's still going to be 80 seconds of endurance, sadly. Overcharge, this is the one that broke the camel's back because instead of just letting the overcharge buff that they gave the perk go to live and see how people felt about it and everything, instead of leaving it up to the clowns who play on the PTB trying to meme around with new perk combos and stuff, not even playing for real. They decided to nerf the buff that they were going to give it. Instead of going from 100% regression to 400% regression over 30 seconds, it's now going to start at 75% regression and grow to 200. Keep in mind that 400% regression on a gen would be as quick of regression as one survivor progressing the gen. I'm assuming the devs had a knee-jerk reaction and pulled back the numbers on that because, like we all predicted, survivors said, "Oh no, big number, 400% regression, how was that fair, that's so OP, like they always do, and not actually understanding the math of the game, because 100% regression, which it starts out as, it's 4 times as slow as a survivor working on a generator, and that's the crap we've been dealing with all this time. You introduce a perk that can hopefully maybe fix that, and then you decide to nerf it again. Starting at 75% is absolutely awful, because what is that, 3/4 of the 100% regression that we had already, which in itself was 1/4 of the speed of a survivor working on a gen. Like, think about this, devs, what are you doing? And then it growing to a mere 200%, seriously? That was Ruin numbers, and Ruin, honestly, is like one of the most overrated perks this game has ever had, because it's a hex, you can destroy it. And the pre-nerf Ruin, not the new Ruin, it had 200% regression. The new one's gonna be at freaking 100%, which is back to the whole thing of base regression being mediocre. Why would you change a hex which is supposed to be stronger to base regression? Okay. Botany Knowledge was worried about the strength of this perk since they're giving it a 50% healing speed bonus now instead of 33%. You cannot use it with medkits is what they're trying to discourage. I mean, you can, but it says here, from the nerf that they're giving to the buff that they gave to the perk, Botany Knowledge gives a 20% efficiency penalty to healing items, so you can use it with a medkit to heal yourself really quick. And combined with Circle of Healing, you're going to be healing really quick. And I'm assuming that they gave Botany the 50% buff out of nowhere from 33% because they were nerfing self-care so freaking hard for some reason. So they were probably assuming that people, self-care and Botany Knowledge both being Claudette perks, would commonly be ran by new players and old ones alike. Together, because you have a devastating, like, what was it, 35% the normal healing speed on self-care, which is absolutely awful. You could offset that and make it 85% the normal healing speed with Botany Knowledge, which, in all seriousness, is not that bad. But this 20% efficiency penalty, which we've never seen from a survivor perk before, only killer stuff like Overwhelming Presence, punishes you for trying to get this whole build with your item and your perk combo centered around you basically having a circle of healing in a bottle where you can just take a hit, killer leaves you, you run away, heal really quick in like 10 seconds or something like that, because you've got this ridiculous Botany Knowledge 50% healing speed boost that they gave it. They're hoping to unincentivize really quick kills like that, which I'm neutral on. Maybe we should have let that Botany buff play out without the little nerf that they had attached to it. Distortion. Cybergoth is gonna like this. It gives an audio cue, and I hope it's the same one that they give to alert and premonition. Now it gets an audio cue whenever a token is used up, so you don't just sit there in a Blood Warden exit gate like Cybergoth was that one time and not notice that your tokens are going down, because it's going to be playing a sound for you in case you're not noticing your token count going down. That combined with the buff of being able to regain tokens is going to make Distortion probably a solid perk at this point. Because before I'm like, why would you ever run Distortion when you could just run Object of Obsession, unless you're not that confident of a player and you're afraid of your aura getting shown to the killer. Distortion was a safer alternative, I guess, but now, honestly, Distortion and Object are probably on equal footing for what they do, because you can use them both to tell what info perks the killer has when they aura read you, if they have any of those perks. Iron Will, it's not getting any change right now from its nerf that it was getting this update. But in a future update, they plan to address the survivors making different levels of sound and stuff like that. Like Ace apparently has Iron Will base kit because his voice actor, the lines he recorded or whatever, were just so quiet on the breathing and the grunts of pain and all that. So they're aiming in a future update, they say, to equalize the survivors' different volumes that they have, so that you don't have a super quiet Ace and a super loud Jeff and Bill. Inner Focus will now let you see teammates' scratch marks not within a certain range, but without a range limitation. So you see scratch marks of your teammates across the map and everything, and that can hopefully let you know where everybody is. So I think that's going to be a actually decent information perk now, because before it was basically only useful for the other effect, which was showing the killer's aura whenever they hit a survivor. And now that I think about it, does that infinite range requirement actually apply to that aura reading thing, or is it just for the scratch marks? I hope it's for the scratch marks, because being able to see where the killer hit someone from across the map or whatever might be a bit too strong. And last but not least, or probably least, prestige icons. You get a reward for the new prestige now, and it was gonna be that you just add glitter to your character portrait or whatever, and then the more you prestige, the more glitter that it gave your portrait, which was something that people probably harped on too hard, in all honesty. But I'm glad they're making this change, because the changes prestige icons will now make character portraits look better. Like you prestige, I don't know if it's at prestige 3 where your character actually gets like a red background to their character portrait and everything, and then in the bottom right I believe they also have the prestige level that you're at, yada yada. So that's all the changes that they made to their previous update, which is live right now, I believe, because they have this fancy new background and everything. I'm hoping to make a new video soon. Maybe not a video dedicated to these new changes, but I want to be making some more content to actually see, has the game changed a lot, or is it going to be the same stuff as before, as Solo Q being absolutely awful, as well as Killer, and then Survive with Friends just dominating everything unless you throw. That's going to be it for now. This is Daniel Master 87 signing out.